Welcome back, all you paddleboarders and water lovers. Today, we've got a different type of podcast episode, teacher-student perspective for all the teachers out there, or even just the newbies who are still looking to get into the sport. This podcast is perfect for listening on inspiration behind two of my students. One that I taught privately all winter, and they're both still newbies. One owns their own board. The other one is very passionate about getting other people involved and coming out with her to paddle. And I want to thank them for coming on and sharing their first time stories of paddleboarding. If you've never paddleboarded before and you're curious, maybe you'll get some inspiration out of this as far as a voice goes on the newbie perspective of, first time paddleboarding. There can be so much excitement around it. I remember when I had first seen paddleboarding, I just thought it was something that you do in Hawaii, and that was a really long time ago, and didn't see it again until I was on vacation. And then when I moved back to Michigan to an inland lake, which I'm currently at now, Sylvan Lake, Michigan, and I saw paddleboards for sale, and few people maybe out on them, but since it's still a growing sport, I didn't see a ton of that activity. So I had to do a ton of research. So, by the way, I'm Misty, your host of Wave On the Show. Welcome back. Hit subscribe if you're a first-time listener. And the podcast is also on YouTube, so we actually have the video portion as well. We've had a lot of paddleboarders on with a lot of experience, people that are really passionate about the sport and the community within, because it's much more than a paddle and a board. It's an awesome lifestyle and a way of connection with others. So with that said, my story, my first time paddleboarding, I think I dreamed about it all winter and looked at pictures online and whatever I could see, really. And then I ended up buying my first board, which was 10 years ago. And since then I've had many other boards, my own fleet of teaching with Luna Moon SUP yoga. And that excitement, it just kept building for me from wintertime, dreaming about it, and then getting my own board and just every day after work going out and being on that board, and fantasized about different adventures you could do, and meeting a few other people then that were really into it, and getting a couple other friends into it, and they bought their own boards. So that's how it really initially kicked off for me. And then I grew the business of Luna Moon. I got certified in teaching, and now as of June 1st, I'm certified to train teachers. So that's another little one on my paddleboard resume, where I'll probably be putting together a program that to teach other teachers. So still growing the sport, growing the interest. And I'm excited to offer that. And of course, just regular classes as well for people to come out. And I've even had a few people reach out that are new to the area. So again, this is a great way to meet others no matter what area you're located and listening in. But this is episode 26. And I thought this time, kicking off the season here in the northern area, and Paula and Lisa, they're, like I said, are students of mine, and they're going to come on and share their passion behind what is still very new to them, but love sharing the message. And I thought that this would be an awesome opportunity, no matter what side of the fence you're on, because I know what I always say, that a teacher learns from the student just as much as the student learns from a teacher. And it's the same goes as we learn from one another, and just showing up with an open mind, an open heart, and a positive attitude, and trusting the people around you. So let's tune in. Let's dive in. I just want to share the code LUNA10 real quick for your Luna Moon retail lip balms, eco lip balms, SPF 20, pina colada in the house with some zinc. You got to protect the lips during all those paddles. So let's get right into it. Thanks for showing up. Ladies, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the show. I've got Paula and Lisa. They are paddleboard students. They've come out to the lake before in Sylvan Lake for classes. And today's podcast, we're doing like a student perspective message. And I wanted to invite them on, and because there are newbies, even though they've been out, they still are a little new to the sport, and we're just kicking off the season here in good old Michigan. Right? Well, thanks both of you for being here. How did you even find paddleboarding to begin with? When was the first time like you saw it, you think?
I think I bought Groupons to do it and then chickened out like 3-4 years ago.
Oh, really?
I don't even remember who I bought them from. But then Heather, who I had come with at that first class, she was moving to Kentucky. She wanted to get some experience because they evidently have cave paddleboarding or something not too far from her.
Wow.
So that was how she's like, let's go. And I was like, well, I've always wanted to do this. So.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's what happened.
That's cool.
That's nice. Why did you kind of chicken out those other times?
Just kind of afraid of looking like a goofball.
Was it paddleboard yoga or just paddleboard?
It was just paddleboarding, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, Lisa?
So I actually had heard about it from my yoga instructor at the time, Michelle. She's been out to the lake a couple times.
Yeah.
She had said that she was doing this over in a pool. And I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. So I signed up and went, and in the pool, you're just, you're kind of locked into the race lanes, but it was the most challenging thing there was. So I was like, oh my God, I'm hooked. And then she and I went out because she had taken classes on the lake out in Lansing, and I went with her to an outside one, and that was just even more amazing to be able to hear all the noises, of nature, and to sink and to just capture all of that. It was like, I always say it's the most challenging and relaxing thing there is at once. and that was doing yoga to begin with. Yeah. And then last summer I found you, and when you introduced that paddle yoga class, when we paddle out and then do the yoga kind of like free forming back.
Yeah.
I'm like so hooked on it. I just think it's amazing.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Paula.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I do quote you, Lisa, in saying that it's the most challenging and relaxing sport.
Yeah.
I really think it is. And I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what it is about it, but it's just the relaxation of the calmness of the water, I think, and the wind. And then, but yet you still have to, it's not like you can just, you got to pay attention to what you're doing, And so I think it's great. So I really love it.
Yeah. And it's nice to hear, like both of you have a perspective on it. And for someone like me, I always say that I always talk about it. I still love it. But, when you're used to it, or you are with it every day, or you write about it and things like that, how like you just kind of get maybe like in a tunnel vision, or just in a mode,
mm-hmm.
And you somewhat forget what that was like for someone that first came out. and to hear their experience and what they felt. So this is kind of, the reason, having both of you here to share, like a student's perspective on what it's like in the sport when, people do it every day or have been doing it for 20 years, whatever the case may be. But both of you were actually in a few classes together, and which was kind of nice because we started to form like this little bit of a community going on. And last year was my third season, which is the one that I started to see that happen, which was really nice to also witness that from my side of things. When you tell other people about it, like, hey, what did you do on Tuesday night? What are some reactions? I'm just curious. Like, you go to work or whatever, you're on the Zoom call, maybe still, I don't know, and you talk about something that you did, and I'm just picturing last season, brand new stuff to do and things, and what were like some initial reactions that you got?
So I can tell you that because last summer, we were still in the office, and which worked because you were very close to that. So I would change, and then I would go, and people would be like, where's she going? Oh. And what's she doing? Oh, I'm sure she's going on a lake somewhere. How does she have that energy? And, or what do you mean? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm going paddleboarding. And it was really kind of funny. Or people would be interested. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so interesting. I want to do that. Okay, well, it's just right. It's a hop, skip, and a jump from here. Just kind of jump over there. Mm-hmm. And oh yeah, but something always came up, oh, this came up or that came up. And it's like, oh, well, I can only lead you to the water. I can't get you any further on there. So I think it's great and it's really fun. But people really, I think you've mentioned it before, Misty, it's really still not that prevalent here. Mm-hmm. So I think people are still very like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where that hesitation comes from.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that. Even yesterday, I went to, I was a guest just for a little bit at Pontiac Yacht Club. That's near me. It's on Cass Lake, which is the lake next to me. I mean, literally, it's like a road just divides the two lakes. And I got a few reactions, and from the girl that came out and did our private lesson too. She said the same thing that she told some people at work, and they said, "Are you kidding me? Like, I've seen people do that on Instagram, and they're standing on their heads." And I was like, why does everyone think they have to be a pro to come out? Like, you don't have to show up here knowing everything about the sport. And I mean, definitely don't think that like everyone else that's showing up is doing that as well. Because it's definitely not the case. Because we're not California or Florida or anything like that. We're, like you said, right? Like, it's still not that dominant here. So when people hear it, there's this shock reaction like, what do you mean? I could barely do yoga on land.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about you, Paula?
I had a lot of people who, same thing, like, what? And then other people who just in conversation, we ended up bringing our friend Kane. And then, I'd mentioned it to somebody that I sit on a board with, and she ended up coming. And then I think one of the times when I wasn't there, brought her sister-in-law, maybe.
I think so, yeah. So there was a little bit of a chain of effect going on there.
And then I brought my niece, and I'm going to invite another niece. And awesome. It's just, I was trying to, I've started actually compiling a list of people that I'm going to tell them it's time. The season's getting started. So yeah, I actually just, fell in love with it.
Yeah. So. That's so awesome. That's great to hear. What
Cool.
are some key things that you tell them about it to entice them, I guess?
Well, the fact that there's a teacher with us the whole time, I think, having you, and it's not, 20 minutes of instruction and goodbye. It's,
Mm-hmm.
You're there. There's a support system and I tell people, do what you can. It's not, and I do throw in the first time I headed out with you guys, I didn't even stand up.
Right.
I tried, and yeah, it was the class when it was just the perfect evening that it was you, Lisa, and I that I finally stood up.
Yeah.
But just tell them, if you're not afraid of water, just try it. It's an incredible way to be out in nature.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I say similar things like that as well. I've always been more on the side of what you just said, to stay with people. And I think there was one time actually it was Heather and Kane that I let them. They were the only two that night, and I don't remember why, but I let them go themselves because I knew Heather was moving, and like, I just sort of felt like, let them have some time to themselves, and they were totally fine with that. Heather had been out before a few times, so that's like one case that I let them go on their own, and who knows, more of that might happen as like people get more experience. But I don't know about you guys, but lately within some of the podcasts that I've done and episodes and just talking to other paddlers around, not just in Michigan, but everywhere, that people are definitely wanting the more of the social experience and not going out even by themselves. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but
I think I like that more. It gives you, because I did purchase my own board last year, and to get to a point where I felt comfortable starting not to lose anything that I've learned and to kind of keep that, because it is a seasonal sport.
right.
I'm so afraid of having to learn everything every year that I just like to keep it going. So
Yeah.
I mean, I like going out on the board by myself, but you do enjoy that interaction. It's nicer to have someone else there to talk about that experience when you're in it, and to be able to chat about different things, and it helps move the time along even, and experience something fun and enjoyable that you and the other person or group of people that you're with are all enjoying at one time. I think
Mhm.
that does really impact your experience overall.
Yeah. Would you say that even, let's say like Paula, when you went out one time and you didn't stand, but then the next time, I mean, would you think that it was a nice support group, that people were like encouraging you, or maybe applaud you after you stood up,
Yeah, it was great. It was actually the three of us on that paddle, and I remember we did some yoga, and you kept having us get up and down, and I was kind of like, "Please stop." But it was actually kind of a gift because it forced me, to obviously get up and down, and I did feel a lot more confident the next time I went out. So
Yeah.
it was it was hard that evening, but I was thankful later.
Nice. It pushed you along, huh?
Mhm.
That's
So
cool.
I can, just to add to that, recently in our private sessions, you had done that because I was going to Florida and I
Mm-hmm.
was taking a class in Florida, and it was nice to be able, because Misty was having me do the up and down and everything too. Okay, now get ready for this. And it really helped though, when the time I got to my class in Florida, it was like all good to be able to go around, water experience I hadn't experienced even before, it's so calm and peaceful up here. It was a little windy there. Oh, and the wind was extremely heavy in Fort Lauderdale at that weekend. But it was like, once you got into a nice little cove, it was good.
Yeah.
So that practicing of getting up and down definitely helps.
Awesome. How long was the paddle in Florida?
It was an hour.
It was an hour. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. It was an hour. And it looked like there was going to be a pretty decent amount of people going that day. Mm-hmm. And then it ended up just being myself and the instructor, which was wonderful. I mean, she was great. Mm-hmm. And it was beautiful area that I paddled in. So
wow, that's awesome. Nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
Have you been out since then?
No.
Okay.
I have not. No. No, not yet.
Anxiously waiting to get out soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
When I guess when you get these crazy reactions from other people, I mean, how do you react? What do you say in return? I mean, I think you noted a couple things so far, but just I guess take me along this message. Like, what's your answers?
I usually just say, why don't you come with me? Mm-hmm. Try it out. Mm-hmm. We'll have team building exercise or something, talking about it at work. That's mostly it. And some people are interested. It just kind of didn't work out last season. So I'm going to start encouraging people to watch the calendar.
Do they ask you a lot of questions?
They do, is it hard? Are you afraid you're going to fall in? Do you have to stand on your head kind of things? There's that idea out there. Again, like you said, that you have to be a professional, and that's kind of it. It's
it's totally not true. I had a thought about like classes, and I've been, like I said, I've been talking more with other business owners that teach and do what I do, mainly in other areas of the country. But one of the things was like having more themes, and it might just be that it's introducing more of a fun factor. I think one thing that comes to mind, even though there's a safety aspect with paddleboarding, and I always make sure I conduct that, off the get-go, life jacket, what do you do if you fall, all these other little things. But paddleboarding is so much fun. It's like you're saying about not having to be standing. You can sit, you can kneel, you could. I mean, I had one lady that literally just laid down, and she was just like laying, looking at the sky. And I thought, is she getting enough out of this experience? And I think I've said this before, but they were totally like, no, she just needs to de-stress and like be outside and hang out and you're still getting the motion of the water, the movement, and she was anchored. So yeah. And I think if anything, to wrap up like an overall thought, that you don't have, you have all these levels, right? Like you can be a pro racer if you want, or you can hang out. Maybe today this is how you feel, right? And you don't have to force yourself to do other things. But the fun aspect of some themed classes, like, I don't know, it's Hawaiian shirt night, guys. Like, bring your funny Hawaiian shirt. I don't know if that sounds ridiculous, but like, I mean, it made Paula laugh, so these are just other like thoughts of the social aspect, and I really wanted to just kind of run it by you guys and see what you thought.
I think it's interesting. I think that I don't know if you're going to get more interest by having that, because there are still going to be that I have to bail. At the end of the day, the person who has to balance on a board, and that is what the hang up is still going to be the hang up.
Sure. Yeah.
I wonder if it would lighten things if it was, we were all kind of laughing at each other, not at each other, near each other.
Sure.
As far, that we are dressed comically, does that take off some of the pressure, adding that levity? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's I was gonna say, now for us, it might be funny.
Okay, so we'll play with that one. With that idea, because I mean, I think they sound fun, but like I said, I'm not the newbie showing up with all these fears and concerns or whatever the case may be, and everyone is so different. I find that out more and more every time I talk to somebody. So it's just an interesting food for thought type of thing. And I thought I'd run it by you guys. Funny hat night, right? Maybe that's later in the season. Maybe we just got to get things kicked off here and get people's their sea legs back, right?
Yeah.
That might be a little bit of it.
Yeah.
That's really cool to hear though, like these different stories that you're talking about. I mean, what are some things that you would still want to learn? I mean, even though you haven't been out yet and we're anticipating that, but just whatever comes to mind, what would be something else that you would want to learn?
Technique.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Turns. More turns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Technique. Stopping.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. Nice. Okay.
Wind.
Okay.
Perfect. How to navigate in the wind, and read it.
And read it. Yes. Oh, that's good. That's very good because wind is a huge thing, and wind can change while you're out. Sylvan Lake can be a little squirrely at times, and early morning usually it's not windy. That was not the story this weekend. Saturday morning was I think windier than later in the day, which is odd. And even the direction that the wind was coming out of, it was coming out of the east Saturday and Sunday, which is a little abnormal. It's usually west or maybe northwest. Yeah. A lot of times.
So oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say it was really cool that you knew just by looking at the sky that day that storm was going to come while we were in the middle of class.
Yeah.
So I just think that's very neat. So to be able to kind of pinpoint that and figure out how that's working is just a bonus for someone that is going to go out on the water by themselves potentially.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, there's a few things behind that. I think I have experience just looking and knowing what's coming. Even though it's a smaller lake, it's looking out at Lake Michigan is completely different. There's a lot more distance, and so yeah, I think I just have that a little bit of intuition, looking out and knowing and reading. I mean, there's been times where walking, and this happened back in the spring, I looked across the lake and I could tell, I was like, that's a wall of water coming, because you can just kind of see it coming. There's been times where I've even been on my board and you'll see that coming, and then all of a sudden it's that wind, all that rush of wind picks up, and that's when it's on its way, and you're just oh shit, okay, I need to get paddle back, or I'm just gonna get a little wet, some sprinkles of water. But it's funny how you can see that happen when you look out, and it's you see this wall, blurry wall, kind of coming toward you, and then like I said, that wind picks up. But yeah, that would be interesting to do. A lot of times when it gets a little windy, I get a little fearful for people's experience. So it because if they're new, I mean, think about it. Like if you had never been out and I said, well, it's a little windy tonight, what would you want to do?
I would panic and I'd be like, I'll be headed right here on the dock.
Yeah.
Come back and get me.
You're like, I'm anchored. I'll just watch the wind come toward me.
Right. Exactly.
Paula, do you have like a preference? I mean, because you're still fairly new and all of that. What do you think?
As far as
like if
what
it's
I'm looking for,
well, yeah, or if it's just not the idea experience. Like if you thought, oh wow, it's going to be a little windy tonight, what does that mean for me?
for me, it means, okay, this is an opportunity to, try this in different conditions. And I think the last time we went out, it was a little more windy, and it was still really fun. And we were kind of sitting part of the time, and that until we kind of got closer to that little cove, I guess, by the boat club or the yacht club and the community center, and we were able to stand up there. And it was just a different experience. To me, it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I think that's the night that we went down that canal thing. That if it's the night I'm thinking it was, the big water was a little bit more wavy, but then once we got into that canal, it was really nice and calm in through there. That was nice.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about the lake, that there's different parts. We just have to get to them, I wouldn't take anybody out that's like, my rule is sort of somewhere in between 12, 13, 14 miles per hour. That's a bit much. I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to do it then. But it's also a thing to kind of play with, it's like, it's not that it's unsafe. It's just that, as long as there's no storm coming and it's just wind and it's sunny, you're just going to get wet because waves are going to come at you, and you might go back down to kneeling. You might go paddle prone, which you do with your arms. But it really is like, Paula, that having that open mindset, and and Lisa, I know you have it too. So it's almost like you just need to be advocates for the paddleboard sport and tell people, that it's something new to learn. I mean, you don't have to show up thinking you know it all or have all the answers. It's definitely not a test. It's, we're all in this together.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, would you say that when you get on your paddleboard, that it's like it's not that you're starting over from ground zero, but you're starting over like a fresh day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it only because to me it's almost like yoga. Every day when you're doing yoga and you're practicing yoga, you're starting from, yes, the poses, what you're doing, but every day your body is different. So as soon as I step on my board, every day that portion is going to be different. I mean, some of it's going to be that memory of, okay, this is how I stand, this is how I hold my paddle, and I have all of that. But however, whatever happened throughout the day that got me there or the night before is going to be a little bit different to make my foot placement a little different than where it was earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's likening it to yoga, that you just, you have to come with an open mind, and, maybe it's going to be one of those days where you are laying more on the board and just enjoying it versus, really getting in there and, being able to really paddle strongly that day. It'll vary. And I think you do have to have an open mind because, it's out in nature, so you don't know what's going to happen. And the boats, that's actually kind of fun when they come by and create a little bit of a wake.
Yeah, yeah.
Another thing to try.
Yeah, that is true. The boats, yeah, they like to check out the paddle boarders, and they're just enjoying the sunset, and yeah, they give a little bit of wake, and maybe you come back down to kneeling, or come back up to standing again, or
Right.
and also it gives you a chance to just sit down and maybe put your feet in the water. I mean, it doesn't have to be go 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 the whole entire paddle out too, which is nice. I know I like to do that personally.
Yeah, it's a nice break every once in a while. It's like, oh yeah, this is nice little, been paddling and nice cool off time, so it's always nice to put your feet in the water. And
Yeah, it's fun that you can put stuff on your board and take it with you, whether it's something to drink or maybe a snack if you're out, for a long time by yourself or something like that. There's just all these different variations that you can do, right?
right, I think it's a great group activity, but it's definitely at your own pace and however you are feeling that day. If you are feeling that you just need to relax and go slower and watch that sunset a little bit more to ground yourself, you have the ability to do that, because it truly is you're living in your own space at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great opportunity to do both, your own space and a group activity. So
mm-hmm.
got the best of both worlds at that point.
Yeah. Did you say that's something that may have drawn you in as well? To
I think for me, yes. Yeah. I think so.
That's cool. What about you, Paula?
It was, the combination. I do practice yoga and I also kayak. So it was sort of bringing the two of those together.
Oh, that's cool.
That, was just awesome.
Yeah. Do you have your own kayak?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
Yeah.
Where do you go sometimes?
A lot of times we'll do circumnavigations of Belle Isle or do that and then head up to the Canals on the far east side of Detroit, right by Grosse Pointe. Or where I'm at, we're able to launch into the Rouge River, which sounds kind of weird. It's fine. It's much cleaner than it was. And we'll paddle. There's a place in Melvindale you can launch from down to the Detroit River and back. You can go to Zug Island. It's interesting, and the nature has really come back. So that's pretty as well.
That's good to hear. Yeah, for a long time it was just like a big struggle there.
Yes.
Yes. How many years would you think that's taken now? 10 years or more?
A really long time, quite frankly.
Yeah.
How long have I been out of college? I remember them doing some improvements then because I had written a paper on it in a hazardous waste management class. So it's been a number of years.
Wow.
Just trying to manage mostly with the rainwater and, making sure things aren't getting dumped into the river, let's just say.
Right. Yeah. A lot of strange dumping and illegally, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. It's good I'm glad it's like looking better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of turtles and herons and.
Nice.
Yeah. It's pretty.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome to hear. Let's see. I have another question. If you guys are up for it.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Kind of question.
What do you think of night paddling?
I think that would be cool. We've got lights for the kayaks,
Mm-hmm.
although it's kind of the texture of my boat. We were having a hard time with the suction cup. So
Oh, okay.
I do have a light.
Yeah.
I think that would be really
I think it
cool.
would be neat.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool.
Cool. Well, I mean, I wasn't sure if you had even seen anything like that. I know, like you were saying, the kayaks. I think that might be a little more common than the paddle boards, but it's another a brainstorming topic.
Yeah, there's various, when there's different phases of the moon that are really remarkable, or blue moons. I know with kayak groups, folks go out specifically for those. So something like that would be pretty interesting.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I think that would be very interesting.
That's cool. All right. Now the thing about nature, like that's another I don't know if it's something that kind of gets like bypassed a little bit. I mean, obviously we are in nature, around the water and all of that, but even just saying things that you get to see, like you were saying, the turtles and stuff like that. It's not super common to see a ton of wildlife, but it's just the idea of it. And I know, like last year, I think they were teenagers and they saw the swans and ducks. And I was like, oh, wow, they really liked seeing that was, intriguing and fun and just another interesting aspect. Like Florida, they get like manatees and stuff like that they get to see on their paddles, which is, I think, maybe a little more interesting, but maybe I've gotten used to seeing ducks and swans and geese and stuff. I don't know, but I just think it's another one of those, it might be another selling point for some people. Sometimes we see fish, but it's not that. I don't know, that one's harder, especially if the boats are out and stuff, the fish are hiding, but you never know. Maybe one day, if we get a nice group or something and we can paddle across the lake and go through those other canals, which I know you guys really haven't been on yet. What do you think of that?
That sounds very interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And then if you did a night paddle, you might have more opportunity for the fish jumping. That's when true. It's calmer. So there may be that opportunity, maybe, so that you could do like a sunset or even more into the sunset, full moon, like Paula was saying, to the different phases of the moon. That's a good idea. Yeah. And I was thinking back to your themed ones, like the Halloween or, Halloween, I think would be a very cool one. Yes. Or you could maybe do something with like Christmas in July.
Oh, there you go. I didn't think of that.
Could do something like that.
That's a good idea. I know last year I was thinking about the Halloween thing, but I think I was just a week shy of actually pulling it off and doing it. Because, it gets cold. So people, just like this weekend, they shied away from coming out. And, not everybody has a wetsuit or the proper attire to go out in case they fall or something. So, yeah, I'll have to pull together the Halloween thing earlier.
Can you paddle in a dry suit? Because we've kicked around the idea of getting dry suits to extend our kayaking season. They're definitely more bulky.
Yes, you can actually. I think the story is, though, the wetsuit, you could get wet if you fall in. The dry suit it gives you more room to move around and paddle, but I don't think it really helps you much if you were to fall. And I believe that's what it is.
I think we'd be okay because I actually an experience through work. We were wearing dry suits and we're just in the water last week and it was fine.
Oh, good. That's good. So you've been out kayaking.
We were doing some rescue training and we're out in the full gear, and it was kind of weird to be in the water when it was your hands felt that it was cold, but your body was fine.
Oh, nice. Was that a class, a training?
It was through work, just one of the trainings that one of our teams does, and I was able to have the opportunity to participate. So, got all
awesome.
geared up. It was fantastic.
Oh, cool. Where did you go?
Cool.
Ford Lake in Ypsilanti.
Okay, nice. That's awesome. Very cool. That's great, you guys. I picked your brain enough yet tonight?
Yeah, I think if folks are nervous about it, just, come out and give it a try. Sit on the board the whole time if that's, what suits you, but just the opportunity to be out on the water it's fantastic, especially, when things are stressful and having the opportunity to get out on the water last year when things were just tough with COVID and I love it.
The cat. Hello.
Oh, he's so cute.
Joey.
It was, really a gift to be able to spend the time out there. So
yeah, so it's such an opportunity. I mean, even myself, last week I was doing quite a bit of computer work, and I knew Friday was not going to be weather-wise so great. So I took my race board, and I hadn't had the race board out yet this year. The cat is taking over.
Sorry.
I want to be a part of this podcast. How do I get involved? Lisa, do you think you'd ever bring the cat on the paddleboard?
So when we do our private lessons, she joins.
Yes.
She comes on the board and does everything. So I'm always like, I think I should get a little life jacket for her, but she's never been outside. So I don't know that she will appreciate it as much outside as she does inside. Because I have thought about it, but I don't think she'll like it.
Right. Yeah.
It's great when Luna comes out. It's so cool how much it takes to the whole experience.
It's amazing. It's one time, and she was around more last year, and I hope that she's the same for this year. It comes around, but two stories that stick out. One, we just ended. It was a Saturday morning paddle or just SUP yoga, so they were still anchored. And Luna came right out, and it was almost like a demand. I went on the paddleboard, so I went over there and got her because we initially ended, but they were just in awe watching her. And she got on the board, and she wanted to go and say hi to each person. And then, but she also thought oh, maybe I can get on their board too. And I was like, no, we're not going to go that far with it. But and then the other time my husband was walking by, and we were close to the shore, and she saw me on my board. She knew that was me, out there with the gang. And he walks over there to the edge for at least say, look at me, say hi or whatever. But I was like, no, you're not coming onto the board tonight. This is a hi and bye thing. But yeah. She is pretty comical. So, I hope that she'll get to make her way out for a little bit too. But, I mean, the whole, stress relief, it's such an opportunity, and, it is, I guess, just open your mind and just go with the flow. Just, trust the people around you. And I mean, especially your teacher, and, give it a go, let go of this, whatever people excuses. I don't know. And,
let your inner child out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's serious because of water safety and just paying attention and being mindful and all of those things, but it's still super fun, and you can make it super, super fun. I mean, I met someone on Instagram, and actually I've really taken to people in Canada lately. I don't know. I'm not sure what that's all about, but she's in Canada, And she has like the time of her life with with her GoPro, her board, and just like, looks at nature. There's a ton of beavers. They have a lot of beavers. And so like there's babies right now, and these videos that she posts and stuff is just like super, super fun, and that's sort of like what I was saying about last week when I had a bunch of computer time, and it was like, all right, I know this weekend's not going to be that great, especially Friday. So I got out on my board, and it was literally just for 45 minutes. I just went, across the lake, went over to the canals. That is so funny. What is the cat's name?
So her name is Callie. And because when I was a teenager, I wanted to live in California and be a surfer and all of that. So she's used to be like California Lee was my nickname in school. And so her name is that, just shortened because it's Callie. Mm-hmm. So. So she obviously knows that we're talking about paddleboarding and water, and lives up to her name and feels that she needs to be a part of it at every moment of the day.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. For people that are listening, the cat is infiltrating the video chat portion here. That is super cute.
So, I apologize.
Oh no, you're fine.
She has to be a part of everything. So.
Yeah. No doubt.
They usually do. That's why I had to close the door, because they'll be same thing, really.
Yeah. Luna, she's the door is closed, but I could hear a little whine. So I'm like, I might be up on my time limit here, where she's lost her patience. She wants to know what's going on behind the door.
Right.
Oh, right. It's so good to have you guys on. I really appreciate just, your mindset and inspiration, and the messages to be able to share with others to grow the sport, the community of paddleboarding.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, and I really look forward to paddling with you guys soon. Getting out there for real. See
you soon. Yeah. Hopefully, gotta go. Next step is go sign up for June 9th.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Get under the June 9th class and get the intro paddleboarding going, and we're getting our sea legs back, and it's starting to warm up, and the lake level, the temperature's going up too.
Nice.
Excellent.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks for tuning in. That's the show. Thank you, Paula and Lisa, coming on the show and sharing your inspiration, your mindset. We sure do appreciate it in the paddle community. But let's do it. Let's kick off the season. Let's get paddling. Let's have an awesome one. And I thank you again. So hit subscribe. Come tune in again next week.